Every moment captures crucial evidence. Every inquiry demands total transparency. Mastering your legal rights, achieving lasting justice.
Step away from the car, ma'am. Hands where I can see them, now!
Officer Brennan, I'm Chief Patterson. This is my driveway.
I don't care who you say you are. I see a stranger rifling through a vehicle in this neighborhood. I stop it. Turn around. Hands on the paint.
You're making a mistake.
And you're not special because of that badge on a chain. Show me ID before I put you in cuffs. Hands on the car, now!
Officer Brennan!
Move!
Hey!
Stop resisting. Face down right now.
This is excessive.
You keep fighting me. You're going in hard cuffs. Bring your arm back.
I'm not resisting.
Then stay still. Left hand. Do it.
Brennan, you're making a career
Quit talking.
mistake.
Cuffs are on.
You
Chief
will
or not.
answer for this.
Let's go. Walk.
At first glance, it looked like a routine parking lot arrest. A patrol car idled behind a sedan, lights flashing in the late afternoon sun. A white officer shouted commands while a black woman stood frozen beside her open trunk. Within minutes, the city would realize its mistake. The woman being forced toward the hood was the police chief, and the officer yelling at her would soon cost the city $875,000. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Officer Brenton stepped out of his cruiser already irritated. He'd been on the force 7 years, long enough to believe his voice was authority and his assumptions were instinct. His jaw was tight, hand resting near his belt as his eyes locked onto the scene he'd decided was suspicious. A black woman, mid-50s, loading bags into the back of a gray SUV in a grocery store parking lot. "Hey!" Brenton shouted, his tone sharp and accusatory. "What do you think you're doing?" Chief Angela Patterson paused mid-motion, one reusable bag still in her hand. She turned calmly. "Loading my car," she said. "Is there a problem, officer?" Brenton scoffed and took a step closer. "Don't get smart with me. I saw you lingering around these vehicles." Patterson set the bag down slowly, the way a seasoned law enforcement professional does when she senses a situation tilting the wrong way. "I work across town. I just finished shopping." Brenton's eyes flicked over her. Her posture, her clothes, her composure, and hardened instead of softening. "Yeah, right. Step away from the vehicle." "I don't see a legal reason to do that," Patterson replied evenly. "But if you explain—" "Don't question me," Brenton snapped, voice rising. "You people always want explanations." The words landed heavy. A few shoppers slowed their steps. A cart squeaked to a stop nearby. Patterson inhaled once. "Officer, lower your voice. There's no threat here." That's when Brenton moved in closer, invading her space. "You don't tell me what to do," he said. "Hands where I can see them." Patterson raised her hands halfway, controlled, deliberate. "I'm complying, but you're escalating this for no reason." Brenton laughed, short and cruel. "You're real confident for someone who's about to be detained." "Detained for what?" Patterson asked. "For resisting," Brenton barked, before she'd resisted anything. In one sudden motion, he grabbed her arm and shoved her forward. Her shoulder hit the hood of the patrol car with a dull thud. Gasps rippled through the parking lot. Stop resisting!" Brenton yelled, even as Patterson stood stunned, palms flat against the metal. "I am not resisting," she said, voice strained but firm. "Officer, you need to stop." Brenton twisted her wrist back. "Always got excuses. Always playing victim." "Get your supervisor," Patterson said through clenched teeth. "Now." Brenton leaned closer, his voice low and venomous. "You think you're special? You think you're above this?" Before she could answer, his radio crackled. Another unit asked what was going on. Brenton responded quickly, his version sharp and defensive. "Uncooperative female, refusing commands." Patterson turned her head slightly. "That's a lie," she said clearly. "My name is Angela Patterson. I am the chief of police for this city." The words hung there. Brenton froze for half a second, then sneered. "Oh, that's a good one." He reached for his cuffs. A phone was now fully raised a few feet away, recording everything. Another shopper shook her head, whispering, "This is wrong." Patterson's voice didn't shake. "You are making a serious mistake." Brenton snapped one cuff onto her wrist. "Save it for the judge." What he didn't notice, too busy asserting control, was the stunned silence spreading across the lot, the unmistakable insignia on Patterson's ID clipped inside her purse, or the fact that this confrontation had already crossed a line that couldn't be walked back. Because the moment those cuffs clicked, this stopped being a parking lot misunderstanding. It became a case. If you believe that authority should never excuse abuse, and that respect must go both ways, share this story and let others know that accountability still matters. Officer Brenton tightened his grip like the cuffs were proof he'd already won. His voice carried across the parking lot, sharp and performative, meant for the small crowd now frozen in place. "Quit moving!" he shouted, though Chief Patterson hadn't moved at all. "You're making this worse for yourself." Her cheek pressed against the warm metal of the hood, groceries forgotten, dignity being tested in real time. "Officer," she said slowly, carefully, "I am telling you the truth. You need to stop." Brenton ignored her and leaned back just enough to speak into his radio again. "Yeah, I've got a non-compliant female. Possible obstruction. Send a supervisor." Non-compliant. The word didn't match what anyone was seeing. A man near the cart return shook his head. "She ain't doing nothing," he muttered, not loud enough to challenge, just loud enough to be heard. Brenton snapped his head toward him. "You want to join her?" he barked. "Back up!" The man backed up. Patterson felt the cuff dig into her wrist as Brenton adjusted it. Rough, unnecessary. She closed her eyes for a second, not in fear, but in disbelief. Decades in law enforcement had taught her to recognize bad calls early. This one was already spiraling. "You're embarrassing yourself," she said quietly. That did it. Brenton stepped closer, his voice dropping into something uglier. "You don't get to talk to me like that. You should have learned your place by now." A woman in the crowd gasped. Another raised her phone higher. "What did you just say?" Patterson asked, turning her head slightly. "I said stop resisting," Brenton snapped again, louder this time for the camera. A second patrol car pulled in fast. Tires crunched. Officer Lewis stepped out, younger, eyes darting between Brenton, the cuffs, and the woman against the hood. "What's going on?" Lewis asked. "Well, she's refusing orders," Brenton said quickly. "Claims she's someone important." Patterson looked at Lewis. "Officer, I'm asking you to listen carefully. My name is Angela Patterson." Lewis hesitated. "Ma'am?" "I am the chief of police," she said clearly. Lewis blinked, looked again, took in her posture, her composure, the way she spoke without panic. Something shifted on his face. Brenton laughed. "Don't fall for it." Lewis lowered his voice. "Brenton, maybe we should verify." Brenton straightened. "I don't need to verify anything. She's lying." Patterson exhaled through her nose. "Check your department directory," she said, "or call headquarters." Brenton shook his head. "I'm not calling anyone for her." That refusal, small, stubborn, would later be replayed in hearings and depositions. It was the moment when protocol stopped mattering to him. Lewis took a step back and keyed his radio anyway. "Dispatch, can you confirm a Chief Angela Patterson?" Brenton turned on him. "What are you doing?" Lewis didn't answer. Dispatch crackled back, uncertain at first, then quieter, then clear. "Stand by." The crowd leaned in without moving. Patterson stared straight ahead, jaw set, refusing to give Brenton the satisfaction of reaction. Then dispatch came back. "Confirmed. Angela Patterson is the current chief of police." Silence dropped hard. Lewis's eyes widened. "Brenton." Brenton's face flushed, not with shame, but with anger. "That doesn't change anything," he said. She still resisted. Patterson finally turned her head fully toward him. "I did not resist," she said, "and you know it." A supervisor's SUV pulled in next, lights flashing without urgency, but with weight. Captain Reynolds stepped out, already sensing trouble by the crowd alone. "What happened?" Reynolds asked. Lewis spoke first. "Sir, that's Chief Patterson." Reynolds stopped mid-step, looked at Patterson. Recognition hit instantly. "Chief," he said. Brenton opened his mouth. "Sir, she—" "Uncuff her," Reynolds said, not raising his voice. Brenton hesitated. "But now—" The cuff came off her wrist, then the other. Patterson straightened slowly, rubbing her wrist, every eye on Brenton now. Reynolds turned to him. "Step back." Patterson met Brenton's stare. No anger, no gloating, just disappointment. "We'll talk later," she said. Brenton said nothing. He couldn't. The phones kept recording. The damage was already done. By nightfall, the video would be everywhere. By morning, the mayor's office would be calling emergency meetings. And by the end of the month, the city would be writing a check no one had budgeted for. Because once the truth is visible, it doesn't care who tried to silence it. If you believe that no badge places someone above accountability, and that respect must be enforced both ways, share this story and remind others that power without discipline always reveals itself. The video didn't explode all at once. It spread the way uncomfortable truths usually do. Quiet shares, private messages, group chats, before spilling into daylight where no one could pretend not to see it. By the next morning, Officer Breton's name was trending alongside footage of him shouting, shoving, and cuffing the woman every officer in the city answered to. The clip ended just after Captain Reynolds ordered the cuffs removed, but by then, the damage had already cemented itself. Chief Patterson sat in her office watching the playback alone. She didn't flinch. She watched it the way commanders review body cam after an officer-involved shooting, carefully, clinically, noting tone, timing, escalation. When Brenton's voice rose, she paused it. When he said, "Learn your place," she paused it again. She exhaled slowly and picked up the phone. Across town, Brenton's morning started very differently than usual. No patrol assignment, no radio. A single message instructing him to report to Internal Affairs immediately. Shut. The room they put him in was small. 2 investigators, a recorder on the table. His union rep arrived late and already looked tired. "Walk us through your decision-making," one investigator said. Brenton leaned back. "I made a judgment call." "Based on what?" the other asked. "She was uncooperative." They played the video. Brenton shifted in his chair. "She had an attitude." They played the audio again, slower this time. "Did she physically resist you at any point?" the investigator asked. Brenton hesitated. "She was argumentative." That wasn't the question. Meanwhile, Chief Patterson met with the city attorney, not to posture, not to threaten, to document. She spoke about wrist pain that lasted days, about the humiliation of being slammed against a patrol car in public, about the ripple effect, young officers texting her apologies, community members stopping her in stores to ask if she was okay. "I've been in law enforcement for 32 years, she said. "If this can happen to me, it can happen to anyone." The attorney nodded. He already knew where this was going. Internal Affairs worked quickly. Too quickly, some said, like the city was trying to outrun the story instead of confront it. Brenton was placed on unpaid leave. Then his prior complaints were reopened. 2 traffic stops, 1 use of force report flagged but never sustained. Patterns that hadn't mattered until now. The mayor's office released a statement about deep concern. Protesters gathered outside City Hall with signs that read, "She is the chief, and if not her, who?" Brenton watched it all from his couch, phone buzzing nonstop. Friends stopped replying. His name became shorthand for something ugly. He told himself it wasn't fair. He told himself people didn't understand how hard the job was. But the footage didn't care what he told himself. The deposition was worse. Under oath, with the video queued up on a large monitor, Brenton tried to explain why he escalated so fast, why he refused to verify her identity, why he used force when there was none directed at him. "Did you believe she was a threat?" the attorney asked. "No." "Then why did you shove her against the hood?" Brenton swallowed. "To gain compliance?" "Shy. From what?" Silence. When asked about his language, Brenton claimed stress, claimed misinterpretation, claimed everyone was against him now. Chief Patterson sat across the room, hands folded, eyes steady. She didn't interrupt. She didn't react. She let him speak himself into corners no one pushed him toward. 2 weeks later, the city requested mediation. The number didn't come out immediately. Just whispers, 6 figures, high 6 figures. The finance director warned council members behind closed doors that a jury would not be kind. When the settlement figure was finalized, $875,000, there was no vote, just acceptance. The announcement came on a Friday afternoon, buried under neutral language about resolving the matter without prolonged litigation. No one mentioned Brenton by name. No one mentioned the slap, or the words, or the cuffs. Shush, but everyone remembered. Chief Patterson addressed the department the following Monday. She stood at the podium in uniform, wrist heeled, voice steady. "Mott, this isn't about punishment," she said. "It's about standards. We either hold them, or we become the problem." Brenton wasn't in the room. He'd already been informed his employment was under review. For the first time since the incident, the city exhaled. The reckoning, however, wasn't finished. If you believe that leadership means accountability at every level, and that power without restraint has no place in public service, share this story and remind others that truth always surfaces. The termination letter was only 2 pages long, but it ended Officer Brenton's career. It arrived early on a Monday, folded inside a plain envelope, delivered without ceremony. Violations of use of force policy, failure to de-escalate, dishonesty during an internal investigation, conduct unbecoming. Each line referenced timestamps, body cam footage, witness statements. There was no dramatic language, just conclusions that could not be argued anymore. Brenton read it twice, then a third time. By noon, his badge had been surrendered, his access revoked, his name removed from the duty roster he once checked with pride. The union issued a brief response about disagreement with the outcome, but even they didn't push hard. The evidence was too clean, the video too clear. Across the city, Chief Patterson stood in a different room, larger, quieter, listening as the city manager confirmed the settlement funds had been released. $875,000. No admission of wrongdoing in writing, but no denial either. The city would also fund mandatory retraining, body cam policy updates, and independent oversight reviews. None of it erased what happened, but it acknowledged it. When reporters asked Patterson how she felt about Brenton losing his job, she didn't smile. She didn't posture. "This was never about revenge," she said. "It was about responsibility." Privately, she felt something closer to relief than satisfaction. Relief that the system had, this time, worked the way it claimed to. Relief that younger officers watching would understand there were lines that could not be crossed without consequence. Brenton tried to find work elsewhere. Private security firms passed, background checks stalled. One hiring manager was honest enough to say it out loud. "That video comes up before your resume," he said. The clip didn't fade. It became training material, not just locally, but in academies across the state. Instructors paused the moment where Brenton shouted, "Stop resisting!" while Chief Patterson stood still. They asked recruits to identify the exact second authority turned into abuse. The answer was always earlier than expected. Chief Patterson returned to her routine slowly. Morning briefings, policy reviews, community meetings that now filled faster than before. People thanked her. Some apologized for doubting, for watching silently, for assuming power protected people equally. "It doesn't," she told them. "Only standards do." Months later, she drove past the same grocery store parking lot. No cameras, no crowd, just asphalt and shopping carts. Ordinary again. She parked, stepped out, and loaded her trunk without incident. That normalcy mattered more than the payout. Because the true cost of what happened wasn't measured in dollars. It was measured in trust, lost and partially restored, when the city chose accountability over denial. Officer Brenton became a footnote in departmental records, his name attached permanently to a case study, his actions cited without embellishment. Not a villain, not a monster, just an example of what happens when power goes unchecked. Chief Patterson remained where she was, leading, visible, deliberate, her authority no longer theoretical, but proven under pressure. And the city learned painfully, publicly, that respect isn't granted by rank alone. It's earned by restraint. If you believe that accountability should apply to everyone, regardless of badge or position, share this story and let others know that justice doesn't begin with power. It begins with principle.
Seeking truth is a collective journey, and factual knowledge is your armor. Thank you for viewing and supporting Global Accountability.